is Mrs. Brewer to most people here. I've taught at Wilson Christian for 14 and a half years. I went to Pensacola Christian College. I tell people all the time I squeezed 4 years into 5 because I changed my major 3 times. I started off as a nursing major, and then I was a PE education major with a history minor. The Lord's like, nope, that's not where I want you. And then I switched to my junior year. I just switched my field, so I became a history major and a PE minor. Mr. Vanderbo, and a former pastor that used to be here in Wilson, came down and interviewed at the college, and I still had a semester left of school, but my husband was going to be done with school, and so they hired him, and he's like, well, it's kind of like a 2-for-1 deal. I'm also going to marry another person who's going to be a teacher. And they're like, all right, well, we'll take her as well. It's always fun to look back on your story and see how God was working out everything. Mrs. Sampson and I went to school together, and she was a PE major, and had we both been PE majors, we both wouldn't have been able to fit into this ministry at the exact same time. So I look at it now, I'm like, well, God worked that out perfectly. Even though PE was where my heart was, I played sports growing up, I loved it. It wasn't where he wanted me, so he very swiftly closed that door, and so history was what I graduated with. I had great teachers growing up, and there's some I can look back on, and I thoroughly enjoyed being in school because of them, but never when I left school did I think, oh, I really want to be a teacher. I went to college to be a nurse, and the Lord was like, no, that's not what I want you to do, and closed every possible door for me to be able to do what I wanted to, and opened every possible door for me to do what He wanted me to. And there was obviously fabulous people that came through my life in the years that I was in school, but being forced to do something outside of my comfort zone is what got me here. I like telling stories, and that's what history is. From the very beginning to where we are now, it's just one big, long, continuous story that all ties together. And in a really kind of nerdy way, I find that cool. I like the backstories on stuff. I love watching documentaries that kind of give you things that you didn't know from a history book or from what a teacher taught you. And I try to make it fun for my students. I like trying to find things that appeal to students, things they can understand now that apply to things in the past, and comparing them. When I first came in, I had a very narrow way of thinking, that all students learn the same way, that they all needed to be disciplined the same way. And I have learned from having my own children and from teaching that that's simply not the case. I used to get really angry at students that didn't do well in class because I thought they just weren't trying, and then I realized that they are trying. That is their version of what is best. That's what they can do. Learning how to reach the student at a D is their best, which is rare. A C is their best. And then also still challenging the students who get A's, and that's their best. And being able to find the middle ground where you're not leaving some behind, but you're also challenging the ones that can easily get bored in class. Being able to come into a school and feel like family, and be able to participate in what the way we can reach the community through our school, and know for the fact that my kids' best subjects in school and their favorite subjects are Bible. They'll go back, we'll discipline them at home like, oh, well, that's like, you know, the story of this that I learned in Bible class, and the fact that they can tie that together, and then the fact that coming back to what I teach in history, I can make God the center of everything that my students learn, and understand that there are things that have happened in history that we may not understand, but it was God's plan, it's God's will, and He's completely in control. We may not ever know the answers to some of it, but the fact that I can teach my students that from that perspective, and putting God at the center of that, and hopefully they'll understand that God should be at the center of everything they do, starting with basic school subjects. I'll tell people, they ask what I do for a living, I'm like, oh, I teach middle school and high school history, and they make this face like, why would you ever sign up for that? And I'm thinking, why wouldn't you? I just like getting up and teaching students things that they've never heard before in a way they've never heard it before. And I love when parents come to me like, oh, they love your class and they told me this that you covered today or something you talked about. And I hope I'm making a difference. I really truly enjoy my job.